Let us continue with the introduction to macroeconomics. Scope of macroeconomics. This is a very, very important question. This is the answer for question number 35. Scope of macroeconomics. So the study of macroeconomics has a very wide scope, and it covers the major areas of national income, inflation, business cycle, poverty and unemployment, economic growth, and economic policies. So the study of macroeconomics has a very wide scope. So first one is national income. Measurement of national income and its composition by sectors are the basic aspects of macroeconomic analysis. So what do you mean by national income? The total of all the value of goods and services produced within the domestic territory of a country is called as national income. So macroeconomics helps us to measure the national income and its composition from various sectors. We have three sectors: the primary sector, the secondary sector, and the tertiary sector. As far as India is concerned, the primary sector is agriculture, secondary sector is industries, and tertiary sector is service sector, like banks, insurance companies, all these come under tertiary sector. So macroeconomics helps us to measure the national income and the composition from various sectors. Next one is inflation. What do you mean by inflation? You must have heard this term very often while listening to news. In Tamil, they say "Pana Vikam." What do you mean by inflation? A steady increase in general price level is called as inflation. பணத்தினுடைய மதிப்பு, அது பொருட்களினுடைய விலை அதிகமாயிட்டே போறது தான் என்னன்னு சொல்றோம், பணவீக்கம். Too much money chasing too few goods. The goods are very limited, but the price of the goods are more. Then it is called as inflation. For 1 kg onion, in ordinary days, we buy it for 20 rupees or 25 rupees. Sometimes they say it is 150 rupees or 100 rupees. This is only called as inflation. Steady increase in the general price level is called as inflation. So macroeconomics helps us to study about inflation. First, it helps us to study the national income and the composition of various sectors in national income. Second is, it helps us to study about inflation. Third one is business cycle. What do you mean by business cycle? Almost all economies in the world face the problem of business fluctuations and business cycle. Sometimes there will be a boom in the economy. Sometimes there will be a recession or a depression. Sometimes there will be a recovery from the depression to boom. So business cycle na economy la ஏற்படக்கூடிய சுழற்சி. சில நேரத்தில் நல்லா செழிப்பாக இருக்கும், சில நேரத்தில் மந்தமாக இருக்கும், அது பின்னிறக்கம் ரொம்ப மோசமான நிலைமையில் இருக்கும். இதுக்கு பேர் தான் என்னது, பிஸ்னஸ் சைக்கிள். இது ஒரு சுழற்சியாக ஏற்பட்டு கொண்டே இருக்கும். இப்போ ஒரு மேலே ஏறுறோம், அதுதான் என்னது உச்சி. அப்போ அது வந்து நல்ல செழிப்பு. அங்கேயே நம்ம இருக்க முடியாத, ஒரு நாள் கீழே இறங்கி தானே வரணும். அதே மாதிரி ஒரு பொருளாதாரத்துலேயும் பிஸ்னஸ் சைக்கிள் கண்டிப்பாக இருக்கும். அதாவது வாணிப சுழற்சி இருந்து கொண்டே இருக்கும். ஒரு நாள் மேலே இருக்கும், ஒரு நாள் கீழே இருக்கும். ஒரு ராட்டினம் எடுத்துக்கோங்க, மேலே ஏறும், கீழே இறங்கும், கீழே வரும், அப்புறம் திருப்பியும் ரிக்கவர் ஆகி திருப்பியும் மேலே வரும். அதே மாதிரி இமேஜின் பண்ணிக்கோங்க. ஒரு ராட்டினம் எப்படி மேலே இருந்து கீழே அப்படியே இறங்கி இறங்கி அப்படியே வருதோ, அதே மாதிரி பிஸ்னஸ் சைக்கிள்லையும் there will be a boom, there will be a recession, There will be a depression, that is the lowmost part. Then there will be a recovery. So the cyclical movements in the economy is called as business cycle. So the cyclical movements in the economy need to be carefully studied based on the aggregate economic variables. So business cycle is seen in all the countries and or all the economies in the world. Next is poverty and unemployment. The major problem of any country will be poverty and unemployment. Even the most resourceful and the most rich nations have poverty and unemployment. Even if you go to USA or the UK, you can see poverty. There will be unemployment. This is a paradox. இவ்வளோ செழிப்பா இருக்கு ஆனா ஏன் இங்க பாவர்ட்டி இருக்கு? It is a paradox. So even the rich countries face the problem of poverty and unemployment. Developing countries, they have this problem, and underdeveloped countries, definitely you will have poverty and unemployment. So there must be a clear understanding about the magnitude or the level of poverty, and there must also be a knowledge about unemployment. So when there is unemployment, it facilitates the allocation of resources and initiating corrective measures. So macroeconomics helps us to understand the magnitude of poverty and unemployment, and it also helps us to give a solution for it. Next is economic growth. What do you mean by growth? நீ ஃபர்ஸ்ட் ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ல இருக்கிற மாதிரியேவா இப்போ 12th ஸ்டாண்டர்ட்ல இருக்க? இல்லைல்ல, வளர்ச்சி இருந்திருக்கு இல்லையா? ஸோ எல்லா சொசைட்டிலும் there must be economic growth. The growth and development of an economy and the factors determining them could be understood only through macroeconomics. So what are the factors which determine economic growth? Or what are the factors which influence development? This can be understood only through macroeconomics. Last point is economic policies. So macroeconomics helps us to come out with suitable economic policies. If there is a problem in a country, macroeconomics helps us to come out with a very suitable solution for all these economic problems. Economic policies are very, very necessary to solve the basic problems and to overcome the obstacles and to achieve economic growth. So என்னென்ன தடை இருக்கோ அந்த தடையெல்லாம் தவிர்த்திருந்து வர்றதுக்கு பொருளாதார கொள்கைகள் மிகவும் அவசியம். So these are all the scope of macroeconomics. 1. National income. 2. Inflation. 3. Business cycle. 4. Poverty and unemployment. 5. Economic growth. And 6th point is economic policies. So question at the back, book back question. 35th question. Discuss the scope of macroeconomics. This is a 5-mark question. Answer the following questions in one page. It comes under part D. It is a 5-mark question. So discuss the scope of macroeconomics. So the answer for this is on page number 3. 1.4, scope of macroeconomics. You have to give all these points. The last part is limitations. So what are the limitations? Macroeconomics la ellame நன்மை தானா, குறைபாடுகள் எதுவுமே இல்லையா? இருக்கு. There are 4 limitations. What are the limitations? First one, macroeconomics suffers from certain limitation. First one is there is a danger of excessive generalization of the economy as a whole. இது ஒட்டுமொத்தம். ஸோ ஒரு சொசைட்டியில் ஒரு செக்டார் இப்படி இருந்தால் ஒட்டுமொத்தம் இப்படி தான் இருக்கும். ஃபார் எக்ஸாம்பிள், ஒரு கிளாஸில் ஆவரேஜ் வந்து 17 இருந்ததுன்னா ஜென்ரலைஸ்டாக என்ன சொல்கிறோம்? அப்போ எல்லா பிள்ளைங்களும் அந்த கிளாஸில் பிரில்லியன்ட்டுன்னு. ஆனால் கிடையாது. ஒரு சிலர் 20 மார்க் கூட வாங்கிட்டு இருப்பாங்க. ஸோ ஜஸ்ட் லைக் தட் there is a danger of excessive generalization of economy as a whole, because in macroeconomics we study about the economy as a whole. ஒட்டு மொத்தத்தை படிக்கிறதுனால sometimes generalization தவறாக இருக்கலாம். Next one, it assumes homogeneity among the individual units. Macroeconomics assumes that all the individual units are homogeneous. All the individual units are the same. Okay? But in reality, it is not like that. All the individual units are heterogeneous. Each person will have a different character. Each unit will have a different character. Okay? So it assumes homogeneity among the individual units. It is an assumption, but in reality, it is not like this. There is a fallacy of composition. What is a fallacy? It is faulty reasoning. What is good for one person will not be good for another person. If you go and ask a drunkard, he will say drinking is very good, but for the other person, it might not be good. So, what is good for one country is not good for another country. And at another time, maybe at one time, a particular thing will be good for one country. If a lockdown was good for India now during the pandemic, next year when there is no pandemic, do you say that lockdown will be good? No, it will not be good. So மேக்ரோஎக்கனாமிக்ஸ் பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் தெர் இஸ் ஃபேலசி ஆஃப் காம்போசிஷன். ஒரு வாட்டி நடந்தது அப்படியே தான் இருக்கணும்னு அவசியம் இல்லை. ஒருத்தருக்கு குட்டா இருக்குது, இன்னொருத்தருக்கு பேடா இருக்கும். Did you understand this point? So there is a fallacy of composition. What is good for a country is not good for another country. What is good of an individual need not be good for a nation, and vice versa. Sometimes a certain thing will be good for an individual, but for a society at large, it will not be good. Last one. Many non-economic factors determine economic activities. So what do you mean by non-economic factors? Human resources or political freedom, corruption-free government. இதெல்லாம் non-economic factors. ஒரு government வந்து corruption free-ஆ இருந்தா அந்த country வந்து நல்ல economic growth இருக்கும். So non-economic factors also determine economic activities and economic growth. So these are the limitations of macroeconomics. So what did we see today? First, we saw the importance of macroeconomics that we saw in the previous video. Now we have seen the scope of macroeconomics, limitations of macroeconomics. I think we will stop with this. I will post the questions, the work to be done in your Google Classroom as well as the WhatsApp. If you have any doubts on this, please text me or call me. If I give homework, please see that you complete it and send it to me. Okay? Thank you, girls.